Hello ladies and gentlemen, now today I'm going to be talking to you about why I'm interested in history and stuff like that, because I actually got this from Jimmy Hall, if I remember correctly. Yeah, Jimmy Hall. And technically he asks on why I'm interested in history. Well, it's because my heritage, it goes back, like, far back to, well, because I kind of will trace it back to, like, Carthage and stuff. But it's not that easy yet, let me tell you that. But yeah, I even understood I even have heritage back to the time of the Vikings. Thanks Jimmy Hall for all the encouragement and stuff, yeah. But as well, he's actually from Greece, if I remember correctly. Dude, if I got that wrong, let me know, because I'm not looking at the comments section, and unfortunately I didn't write it down. But as well, there are some shows out there that people just don't like. And because they destroyed historical accuracy. In fact, I'm pretty much sure Jimmy Hall, if he doesn't like the movie of 300 or 300 Rise of an Empire, because that is horribly inaccurate. Because I've seen historical movies from the 1970s and 80s that are a little bit more accurate than today. In fact, there are even some series back from the 1970s and 80s that were a little bit more correct. In fact, one of them actually copied off of the name known as Rome, which, guys, if you ever seen Rome, I'm not talking about the previous one, but the newer one, the one made in 2016, I think it was, and is a little bit inaccurate, but mostly not, because technically the one back in the 1980s and 70s was a little bit more accurate. Though the reason I'm talking about this is because this person that also talked to my last review on Vikings, Nicholas Nicolia. Hang on while I look this one up. Oh yeah, Nicole Coleman. Yeah, you think that, I know I'm just going this out, but you guys think that, well, like Nicole Coleman, you guys might think, well, it's unhistoric, so get over it. Yeah, here's the thing. You think not all of them are historically accurate? That's where you're wrong, because there were a ton of series back from the 1970s, 60s, even went up to the 1990s, and were very historically accurate. In fact, there was even a show in 2001, if I remember correctly, Clash of the Gods, I think it was called, that it actually told on historical detail on what the gods, like Greece and stuff like that, were really about. But now, ever since we got Axemen, SWAT people, ancient aliens, those are not historically accurate. In fact, they're not even history, most of them now, because most of the stuff I see on the History Channel isn't even based on history. Though there are some new ones coming out, like Forged in Fire, I think, if I remember correctly. Because technically it does show historical weapons, and at least they got that one right. In fact, if you want a big example of historical type of, well, what they might call series and stuff, you could look up like a type of history detail that got a lot of things correct. And you guys might want to know, well, what were they called? Well, there was one that was back in the 1990s, as I stated. It was called Rome, Rise and Fall of an Empire. It had a full documentary on the beginning of the Roman Empire, like with Julius Caesar and stuff, but I think they even showed some parts of the Republic, and to the day it fell, it got the full thing correctly. Though they did miss out on a couple of people like Boudica, for example. But unfortunately that's because most of the history detail on her was off in some variations. Because technically we only go on the Roman sources with her. So, technically, yeah. But as well, there was even a type of show that later on tries to copy off but doesn't get correct. And it was known as Barbarians. Not Barbarians Rising. Barbarians Rising was the one that copied off of the original. Because Barbarians actually talks about the ones that fought against Rome and ended up taking control. But it only shows like from the fall of the Roman Empire till the fall of this barbarian tribe. They talk about the Franks, they talk about the Saxons, the Lombards, they even talked about the Visigoths, the Ostrogoths, the Huns even. I don't know if they talked about the Picts because it's been a while since I watched it, but technically you can find these on YouTube. Some of the things that are historically accurate nowadays, you can't find anymore. It's weird, I know, that we went from historical accuracy in history and this went to stupidity. Because technically that's what with Hollywood, because technically they just go like this. I got good idea, let's mess up history. But back during the 1980s and stuff, they never did that. In fact, most of the time they were actually run by historians that got the stuff correct. And if you guys want to know something, they got more hits than an unhistorical theme. For example, when we look at Rome, for example, like, no. I'm talking about the modern day Rome, the series, I mean. The modern day series of Rome. Guess how many good reviews and historical accuracies they get? Not that much as the first one. Because the first one got more good likes. In fact, it even got an Oscar, I think, for historical accuracy. That, or some form of Oscar, I don't know. But unfortunately, you can't even look this up anymore because if you do, it's like blocked by the Rome series, the modern Rome series, and other forms. Which it kind of ruins the mood on historical facts. But anyways, I just like to see historians get back into the form of History Channel instead of us listening to this garbage. Because as Jimmy Hall actually put in there, he stated that pretty much the only people that watch this show only go on it to look at sex or the action and don't actually listen to the history that's supposed to be correct. Because he knows as much as I do, because it's kind of weird that History Channel is just, well, no longer history. It's more of like, what's the word I should call it this? Stupidity? No, that's not a good word for it. Anyways, if you got a good word for them, let me know, because they're not bright at all nowadays. Because Hollywood, they used to be the brightest bulb in the box when it came to history. Now it's drug addicts steam. Because I could just see a steam train full of weed going right by them with the directors all in them right now, because that's just what I see in it. Because historical accuracy compared to Hollywood, no. There is no way they're the same. Because I have actually viewed historical finds. And that's what Hollywood used to do, is do historical finds. Because technically that's why I love history and I don't like to see it destroyed. In fact, if my dad was here, even if he was still alive, you know what he would do? He wouldn't just be doing like what I was doing, because you think that some of my, with my reviews, like they're like, wow, he's kind of creeping me out. Here's the thing, my dad would be yelling nonstop at the show. Kind of like in, I guess you might say a Family Guy. No, don't. No, I'm trying to say this. No. A Family Guy, if you guys ever remember seeing this way back then during a time when it came to Scotsman arguing on, I guess it was arguing on like how historically on what a show was like. You could just look it up on YouTube if you want, like a Scotsman arguing with a TV or whatever. Technically that would be him. Me, I'm just gonna watch it through and go like this with the camera. But my dad, he might have just marched out to the history department and actually clobber a couple of directors. Because he was a very, very attachment attached historian to history because he didn't like seeing history run amok like it is today. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, if you found this, if you like this, let me know down in the comments below. Please also like it, and please subscribe to help out in any way you can. And always remember, friends, always remember to keep your swords and sheath. Thank you.